as you can probably tell. And now, in order to start using Data Feed Watch, right, so in order to start generating and optimizing the feeds for Google Shopping or other channels, you first need to add a source of information. So the first step would be to go ahead and add shop. And now you put in the shop name and then you select the source. And now if you would be using any of these platforms here, you can connect that platform directly. And Data Feed Watch is usually via plugin or some kind of a bridge file. If you're not, if the shop is not based on any of these platforms,
That's
then you
fine.
can go.
Mine's there. That's no problem.
It's which one?
BigCommerce, so it's supported.
BigCommerce. Okay, yeah, cool. So yeah, so you just BigCommerce. Also, on the right side here, you have the Learn More button that will take you to a step-by-step guide on exactly how to connect.
Okay.
And then the next step here is just to choose what time you want us to update the product information. As a default, we update it once a day, every day. If you need multiple automatic daily updates, then it is possible to add under agency plan, right?
Okay. Yep.
Right, and then we can go back.
Mic off.
Back to the shop.
Mic on.
So just jump back to it. All right. So once you basically connect the store and we download the product information, you will see a few options here on the right side. So the most important ones here, I guess, would be refresh products, which starts a new download any time of the day. So let's say you know that there was just a change made in the store, right? And then you don't want to wait for another scheduled update to start working on those changes, right? On those updates. So you can just simply log in, hit refresh products, and that will start a new download anytime. And then show products will take you to a product page where you can see like the product table, every information that we downloaded from your source, from the shop. And then if you click on details here, you can see everything that we have on a particular product.
Okay.
All the information that we pulled.
This page you're on at the moment, this details page, is that where you would edit? Because the whole reason that I'm wanting to move away from the plugin I have on the BigCommerce store, it's I think it's called Google Stores or something like that. Anyway, it's crap, and it's really hard to make. It's hard to edit product data details, change names of products and whatnot for the Google Shopping feed. Is that all done within that page that you were just on, or is that done separately and later on in this demo?
It's done separately. I'll show you where. However, this page is when, like, at least for me, when I'm creating feeds or optimizing it, I always have this page on as well to be able to refer back to this information, right? So to see what would make sense. I'm sorry, just give me exactly 5 seconds, you guys. I need to shut the
no problem. Take your time.
The shutters because I don't see anything on my screen right now. The sun is crazy. Just one moment.
Mic off.
Okay, my mic is sorry.
Mic on.
Okay, it's much better now. I can see my screen finally. All right. So yeah, let me jump back to the shop page. And now where we would create those feeds and optimize them, we have to go into the channels first. So you go into the channels. The first thing you would need to do is add the channel, right? So basically, you're adding a template so that you can create a feed based on that. So we would go ahead and add the channel. Now you select the country. I guess you are advertising in Australia. Yeah. Yep. Okay. And then as you can see, we have quite a few templates here. If you ever want to try something out, then go ahead and
Mic
try
off.
it out. And of course, we have Google Shopping, so you can just
Mic on.
choose that one.
Yep.
So let's just jump back again, and let's just go into the one of the Google Shopping channels so that I can show you how it works. Okay. Yeah. So let's just jump into this one. All right, so we are in the Google Shopping channel, and as you can see, there are 3 steps to complete before the feed is generated. And the first one is the mapping panel, where most of that optimization and mapping happens, right? So let's just quickly walk through what we have here. So on the left side here, you have all the required fields that are going to your output feed, in this case to Google Shopping, right? And then on the right side, you have the fields that we downloaded from the store. And then in the
Okay.
middle, that's where the mapping happens. So let's quickly review the options here. So rename is a very basic stuff. Essentially, all it's doing is assigning the fields from your store to the required fields, right? So I'm just saying, take the variant ID from my store and assign it to be the ID. And then take the name of my product and assign it to be the title for Google, right? Because that's what they require,
That's
title,
right, yep.
not a name, right? But now that,
Mic
that part
off.
with optimization
Mic
starts
on.
with other options. So let's just take on combine, for example. That one is especially useful with titles. So let's say I don't have very appealing titles, right? Maybe they're missing some essential information such as brand or other attributes that I could combine onto it to make sure that it's more accurate and more more appealing to a potential customer, right? So in my case, let's say I would like to I'd like to combine the brand of my product with the name. And because I am selling apparel in this particular shop, let me add sizes as well. It actually makes sense for me. And let's say I would like to indicate that I have a new collection. So I'll just say new collection, right? And of course, normally I would just refer back to the show products page if that was like a real feed. Not an example, then I would be checking what I have in each field to make sure that it makes sense, that such combination makes sense.
Sure.
But yeah, okay, so let me just select some kind of separator for these fields. So I'll just go with space. And now I have just set up this new structure for all of my products, basically. But because I am mentioning that this is a new collection, so I don't want it applied to all of them, right? I actually want this only for the new collection and perhaps for my Adidas products, because that is a well-known brand. So I want to include this, but for my other brands, they're not so well-known. So I don't want to include that, right? So in that case, I'll just go ahead and click if, and now I can make conditions. So let's say, let's make sure that I only apply that the system only applies this structure if the brand, let's say, is equal to Adidas, right? And at the same time, maybe my description, let's say my descriptions will hold this information about new collection, right? So I'll say description includes new collection.
So in the description, right? if the copy mentions the word new collection, that new
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So so that will be pulled, and then so this structure will be
Mic
only
off.
applied if those two conditions at the same time are met, right? And then of course I can have another rule for I just have a different combination for another group of my products, or even do something for one product if I want to go like very custom with some titles for my bestsellers, right? Or I could do something for all other products, right? So everything else, or simply if you don't have if you don't want to go too much into detail with that, you can always set up a structure for all of them.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
So just to be clear, that that custom field you've entered there, it would be the brand, as you said, mentioned, it would be Adidas, and the name can be whatever, the size 16. So if someone searches, say, size 16 pink gym top Adidas kind of thing, that would and this field here, would that help generate the Google Shopping product info? Would that basically match the I don't know how I'm gonna ask it.
No, I think I know what you're trying to ask. But so basically, the way that if you include some more information like this, then it can help you to show your ad for those more specific searches. But you can also still show your ads for less specific searches, right? So if somebody is looking, let's say, for Adidas shoes, then my ad can still pop up. But if they're looking for Adidas shoes size 38. Then it is more likely that my ad will pop up than my competitor who doesn't have the size included, for example.
I'm with you.
Right?
Yep, great.
Okay. All right. So okay. So yes, that's one example. Then let me jump to another one. So let's say you need to provide some new information, right? So something or basically. In my case, because I'm selling apparel, Google will ask me about the color of my product. But my problem is that I don't have a field in my store with colors, right? I have a separate field for that. So I cannot just rename, I cannot just use the rename and just assign some fields from my store. So what I could do in this case is, let's first add the color field into our feed. And now I'll go ahead and use add static value. Right, so I'll just say blue. So what this rule is doing right now, it's it's assigning the color blue to all of my products. Obviously, that's not the best way to go about this because I don't only sell blue products. But now again, I could make a condition to make sure that it's only applied when proper, right? So in my case, I know that in my descriptions, again, my descriptions include the color information. So I'll say only if the description includes the word blue, right? And then similarly, use, let's say, red only if the description includes the word red, and so on, right? I could build a rule with 20
Mic
different
on.
colors like that, right?
Yep.
So I hope it makes sense, this rule, right? Yeah, okay, perfect. So there's actually one more way that we could do this. If you know that you always have some information in a certain field and you have a lot of these to extract, then what we could use is extract from, which I think would be a bit faster in this case. So we would say extract from. Now we are choosing the field that holds the information that we want to extract. And now here you provide
Mic
either
off.
a CSV file from your drive
Mic
or a
on.
Google spreadsheet link here with a list of colors that you want extracted, right? So I just create one list of one column, right? Blue, green, yellow, and so on. I connect the link to that list here, and the system will check the colors from the list against the descriptions. Once there's a match, that color will be assigned as a color for that product, right?
Okay.
So that's also one way to go about this. But let me just go back to the way it was before for a moment. And let's say, so let's say I just, created a pretty complex rule with my colors. And now I'd like to actually use this information maybe for my titles, right? So I'd like to include the information about the color
Mic
in my
off.
titles. So instead of going back to the title and now creating a super complex rule, to add the colors, add the description like name plus blue plus size if the if the description includes blue and so on. What I could do is save this rule on my shop level as a new internal field. Internal field would be a field that you can use in any of your channels if you had more channels, right? And you can use that field the same way that you're using the fields from your store. So it just allows you to save the results of a rule that you created. So in that case, I'll just click on this icon right here, those two squares, and that allows me to save this rule as a new internal field, right? So I'll just name it, let's say, color. Once I click done, every time I want to use this, the result of this rule, right? I can simply use the internal field for color instead of building, some more complex rules. So now if we went up to the titles, and let's say I wanted to include the color information in my titles as well, I could go ahead and add field. And now, as you can see, there are two tabs in here, right? So input fields, these are the fields that we downloaded from your store. And then the internal fields are those that you created yourself, right? So I'll just go with the color. And it will use the value that is the result of the rule we created, right? So let me just maybe give you a quick peek. On the right side, you have a preview button that will show you what the result will be basically once you send it out to the channel. So let's just give it a moment to load.
Mic off.
Sorry, it usually doesn't take that much time. It usually just pops up right away. So I'm not sure why we have to wait this time. Okay, I think because it shouldn't take that much time. So chances are that our developers are putting out releasing some updates to the features.
Mic on.
That's when this happens. So let me just maybe open up a new page and then we can carry on, and then this would load eventually.
Cool.
It would, and then we can get back to it. So just give me a second. So loading. Yeah, sorry. Honestly, it doesn't take that much time. It usually just pops up like after 3 seconds. So they must be doing some updates at this moment. Okay. So let's just jump back to the channel where we were. Okay. Okay, so we're back in. Okay, so yeah, the other things that I wanted to show you, well, there's actually a few more mapping types that you can use to make sure that that your titles or your any other fields are the way you want them to be, that are optimized. If you go into edit values, you have a few more mapping types here. So you could completely overwrite the values for certain products if you wanted
Mic off.
You could replace some things, remove, add prefix or suffix, recalculate. That of course would only apply to the numerical fields. You could recapitalize, and round is also for the numerical fields. One of the very frequently used options would be replace. I mean, yeah, frequently, like among our customers, it's a pretty popular one. So we actually have this one customer who's selling grill equipment in the US, right? So in the beginning, his sales was not going too great. So what he did at some point, he did a keyword research in his campaign, and he found that people were not searching for grill, but for the barbecue, right? So he did that simple switch here. He replaced in his titles the word grill with the barbecue, and his sales really went up, right?
Mic on.
So this is a small change, but when it's applied properly, it can make a major difference for your campaign. So it's good to keep that in mind, and use those little those options to do those little tweaks, because it can really help out with the campaign. Okay, and then the last thing here in the in edit values section is the use of regular expressions. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them at all.
Maybe. Can you give me a
Yeah,
rundown?
sure. Yeah. So a regular expression is a string of characters that
Mic
describes
off.
a particular pattern.
Mic
Let's
on.
say, and you can use that in data feeder. So let's say I would like to extract or remove or replace something in my feed, and I have a pattern. So let's say my pattern would be that. Okay, let's say I want to remove the second word after the first comma in all of my descriptions. Let's say, right? This is a pattern, right? So if I have something like that, or I'd like to, I don't know, extract information about material, and my pattern is that I have material space dash space, and then the material information follows that in all of my descriptions, right? So these are all the patterns, right? If I have something like that, I could tick the box, use a regular expression, insert a proper expression that describes a pattern like this, and and that way I can carry out some more complex changes for many products at a time, right? Because then I don't have to go like one by one and extracting some information and removing it, right? So if you ever needed to use it, then we actually have a few guys in our support team who are very proficient with regular expressions. So if you would be able to describe a pattern that you need to in order to to do what you to carry out the changes that you want, then usually they can figure it out in a few minutes, the right expressions, right? So you can always reach out to them. By the way, our support team is available via live chat on our website, and almost 24/7. So there's usually there should be no issues with reaching them.
So because I'm based in Australia, and that's a massive issue that I have, is just trying to book these. In fact, you're the first company that I've been able to speak with because of the time issues I have with the States. So you would have people that can actually answer my live chat query, because I often work, say it's 6 p.m. for me, for example, so I'm doing this from home, but I would normally be working, say started working say 8 hours ago, and I'll work up until say maybe 2 hours ago. So you have people there. If I do need to use your support system, you generally have people there, or in those times?
So let me say, okay, so basically we have so we're like, okay, our support team would work, let's say, from about 8:30 a.m. of Central European time until midnight of Central European time.
Okay.
So I mean, there will be some overlap with your hours. I mean, it might be, I think Australia is probably in the unfortunate position in this case, and compared to other countries, if you look at the times. then yeah, I think it doesn't overlap with your curriculum as much as it overlaps with probably other countries. But it's about, let's say, 8:30 a.m. of European time, Central European, until midnight of Central
Mic
European time.
off.
So
Mic
and then in
on.
between it's then we basically have a break right in between, and then
Of
in the
course.
morning we would get back to you, of course, in the morning if there's there are chats coming in, let's say, during the night. Then in the morning we of course get back to that, but yeah, so that's basically the working hours.
Excellent.
Okay. All right. So okay. So in that case, yeah, let me just show you one more option here. But let's go back. Okay, it didn't load for. Okay, I'm not sure if I will be able to show you the combine. I mean the preview option today. But okay, but still, let me show you one more thing here, which is a lookup table. So basically, this is a feature that you would use if
Mic
you need
off.
to put in some new
Mic
information into your
on.
feed, something that is not in your shop at all, right? So with the color information, we already had that information in the descriptions. We just needed to extract it. But if you have something like, let's say, you need to provide the barcodes and you don't have them in your shop, but perhaps the owner of the shop has it in a separate file, right?
Yeah.
Or if you'd like to put in the margin information and, let's say, build then custom labels based on the margin information, so that you can better make better decisions on the on the bids, right? So bid a bit more on the products that have higher margin and a bit less on the products that have lower margin, right? Or stuff like that. Then you can actually use the lookup table to do this. So this is a real life example, right? GTN. Yeah, we had this customer. He had the GTNs, the barcodes in a separate file. So what we did here is, well, first you select a field that is already in your store, right? That we already have in the system, and that is unique per product, right? So in this case, this could be the stock keeping unit. It could be ID or anything that would match in your store. But then you have to provide either a CSV from your drive or a Google spreadsheet again, and that would be with a table of 2 columns, right? The first column would have the SKU number in this case, because that's what we chose, or that would be
Mic
ID
off.
or any other value that you would choose
Mic
in here.
on.
And then the second column would have the value that you need to put into the feed. So in this case, it would be the barcode, right? The GTIN. And that way the system will pull the barcodes in, and then it will assign them to the specific SKUs based on that table that you provide, right? So yeah, so this is something that you can use to put in all sorts of information that you'll you'll then use for the campaign, right?
Okay. Well, that's really good.
Yeah. All right. Let me just jump back here. Okay, it's still not. I'm just wondering if we reload that, but yeah, I'm sorry. I think it might be that I won't be able to show you this, but yeah,
If you could
there's this
email me
feature.
like a screenshot of whatever that is that you would normally generate there, or if
Sure.
I don't,
Yeah, I can.
that would
Yeah, I can do
that would
that.
be good enough.
Yeah, I'll do that then. Yeah. Okay. So, but yeah. Okay, we're in the second step right now. And unless do you have any questions about the first step,
No,
or
that's
was
all
it
fair enough.
clear? Okay, good. So in the second
Mic
step,
off.
you get to basically exclude or include your products, because if you think about it, maybe you don't want to advertise all of them all the time, right? Because perhaps you have products that are lower priced, or products that are seasonal, right? Or for any reason you just want some products excluded. And in that case, you can do this all here. So let's just run through a few quick examples. Let's say I'd like to exclude my products based on the price information, right? So I'll say if the price is less than $10, I don't want to advertise it because the margin is too low for me on that. Or let's say I have some seasonal products. So let's say my description includes let's say winter, or actually summer, because we are like in Europe, the summer just ended. So I say I don't want to advertise the summer clothes anymore. Or if I have let's say I have a bunch of products, but they're really unrelated, right? So I want to exclude them, but yeah, there's no simple way to just put them together with one rule. What I could do in this case is either take the SKU or maybe ID of the product, and then use the option isn't list. So now I can connect a list of those SKUs that I want excluded from my feed. Right. So if I use let's say Google Spreadsheet for that, then every time I want to make some changes to that list, right? So I want to put on some new SKUs or take away some of them, then I can make edits on that Google Spreadsheet, and I don't have to go back into into the feed here and change anything here, because that will be those changes will be reflected in the system. Everything that I do in the Google Spreadsheet. Okay.
Mic on.
Okay.
So that
It's very
that
handy.
that will be pulled over. All right. So any questions on this part, or should we jump to the next step?
Just one question. So the include option there seems relatively straightforward. What it would be basically, is there a need? What would the include have it if I need to use it? What would there be a need for the include option?
I mean, for the include, we usually many of our customers actually include all products, but it's you can also like build you can build the same rules based on so you can say include if, let's say, collection includes this and this word, right? So it really depends on what you would like to include. What I usually see that people are using the exclude rule a bit more than include, because they're basically including all the products except for. And then so that's why it's usually easier for them to just create one rule for exclude than a bunch of include rules to include all that they want, right?
Cool.
So but yeah, I usually see them excluding some out of stock products. However, for Google Shopping, it doesn't make much sense, because so yes, I wouldn't put that in, but then I see them excluding some test products, so of course, and then some low price products as well. All right, so yeah, let's jump to the last one then. The third step, which is categorizing your products. As you know, the Google's taxonomy is pretty vast, right? So we try to make it as simple as possible to actually assign those very specific categories to your products. The first thing you would do here is to select a default category. For me, that will be apparel and accessories, let's say. Apparel and accessories, clothing, right? And now I could use auto-generated rules. That will be the easiest way to go about this. So I have a field called category 0 in my store, which contains all of my product types. Also, I'll use this one to generate the rules. All right, so now on the right side, you can view all the product types that I have in my store. On the left, we can simply assign a corresponding Google Shopping category. So I'll just let's take on, the example with shoes. So I'll just type in shoes, and then I can see, the categories that would match the term that I entered, and I can choose one that I think is the most appropriate. Right, and then I can move on, and the same thing for dresses.
And this assigns it a category ID, then it assigns it the category ID, then pushes it to the Motion Center?
Yeah, it's going to push the category ID number, but so you basically see the name, right? Because of course, if we are just displaying the numbers, then it will you'll go crazy.
Sure.
But so this is what you can see. But to Google, we will be sending the number of the category, not the actual name of it. Yeah. And of course, if you would ever want to use another channel that also has predefined categories, then you will be like on the left side here, you'd be seeing the categories of that channel, right? So it's always it depends on the channel here, right? And then if you ever have something like I do here, like ladies, which will basically doesn't tell you a lot about what's inside, other than that it's meant for women, right? But other than that, it's not very specific. So I could either leave it empty, in which case the default category will be applied, or I could go into add rules manually. And now let's say I checked and I know that I have skirts and sunglasses in that category. So what I could do is say, use skirt. Okay, so let's say this one. If if the name of my product perhaps includes the word skirt, right, and I can have another one for, let's say, sunglasses, and that way I know everything everything is covered. Everything has a very specific categorization, even if even if I have some more general product types in here.
Okay, so you can break it down more with just the manual rules.
Exactly, right? Because whatever I do here in manual rules will overwrite what I do here, right? So even if I put something here, like, I don't know, I would put sunglasses here, right? For ladies. But then if I go in manual rules and then I put something, and I put another category for, let's say, glasses if it's, it includes sunglasses.
Sunglasses, yeah.
And then some other things. Then yeah, what I do here will overwrite what I did here if it if there's any overlap, right? So that's this manual rules will be just more important. And if in manual rules you're not applying anything that's let's say is regarding dresses, let's say, then then it will stay the way it is, right? So the auto generated rules will be applied. Okay, any questions on this part?
Mic on.
Is it pretty straightforward?
That's fine.
Okay, great. So in that case, let me just go back to the shop. So let's say you just completed the 3 steps that are necessary here. Okay, wait, somebody is doing another demo in German because the language just changed. Sorry, guys, I'm changing it back. Yeah. Okay. And now we're probably gonna go back and forth. Sorry for that. Yeah. Probably they'll also realize soon that they have an English version now. Okay. So. Yeah, so basically once you create that, then you will have the status, the channel will be processed, and the status, once it says okay, then you'll get the feed URL right here, which you can copy, and then you connect it to the Google Merchant Center, right? So, and then from there, you can, let's say, choose the scheduled fetch, and that way from Google, it will be, Google will be pulling the, the feed from Data FeedWatch on a daily basis. Automatically, and then you can, of course, at any point go into edit feed and make some changes, some optimizations, and so on, right? And then there's also analytics section, which is quite useful. Yeah, this is the analytics module. The first thing you see is the general performance of your products on different channels, and then below the fold you can find product level statistics. So you can see each one of the products on each one of the channels that you would be using. I guess for you at first it would be just Google Shopping, but if you decide to try something else, and then you can also view statistics for that other channel here. Yeah, so this section will help you identify and eliminate the products that are the bad players, right? And then also identify the best sellers. So if we go up and create a filter, say we would like to see all the products which had more than 100 clicks, so essentially visits, and at the same time there were no transactions, right? No conversions. So we could say that would be equal to 0. Let's have a quick look. Right, and now we can see, now you can see that this product on Google Shopping and Facebook got over 700 clicks on each, and then I spent over 200 bucks on them, right? So
we're broke.
That's pretty bad investment, right? Yeah, now I did investigate, because you never know, maybe there's an error on the landing page that doesn't allow you to complete the purchase. But if that's not the case, then maybe this product just doesn't sell well, right? Maybe it's not meant for this channel, this market, I don't know, right? But anyways, I don't want to waste any more of my advertising budget on it, so I'll just go ahead and select the products that I don't want, and then pause them, right? By pausing selected products, I am automatically excluding them from the feed that I'm sending to these channels. And at any point, if I want to give them a second try, let's say I maybe made some changes, right? I changed the price, the description, on the image a little bit, and I want to see how it performs. I can go back in here, unpause them, and that will bring them back to my feed.
Okay.
Right, and of course, right now they're actually paused because you can see there's a the pause sign, right? But yeah, that's the way it works. And in order to use the analytics section, you need to connect the Google Analytics account, as well as place the Data FeedWatch tracker on the website that is selling those products.
Yep, no problem.
So that we can connect and pull that data in.
Is it possible to add images onto the data feed program, or are the images solely pulled from the website?
They're pulled from the website. However, if you wanted to add some additional images, you could use the lookup table. Just you would have to add the image link. So you would have to have an image link, and then you would add the lookup table and say, you have the the SKU in one column, then in another column you have that additional image that you want to put in, but in the form of a link, and then you can use that in your feed as well if you wanted to.
And that would override.
That's the only way.
And that would overwrite the existing image on the current feed.
it would if you would set it up that way. So if
Yep.
you, let's say you add that, so you first add the images into the system, and then you would inside the mapping, when you have image link for Google, right, for the Google feed, then you would have to map it to the new field
the
that
new
you
link.
created, right?
Yep.
So let's say that would be the additional image, right? So that would be the one. And we also have a default image selector, in which case, so if you would have a lot of images and you actually just want to choose the one that you think is the most attractive, then if you go into the default image selector, you get to choose for each product. You can choose which which photo
really
is the best, right? So you can just do this like manually and select something that you think would be it would attract them the most customers, let's say. All right, so I think I think as far as the basic product functionality goes, that would be it from my side. So my question now is, what are your thoughts? If you have any more questions.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's much more intuitive to use and has a lot more functionality than the current system I'm using. At the moment, so I work at an agency, a web design agency, and I manage all the PPC clients. And so I've got one client that uses Google Shopping, but his campaign is huge, and he's got like 5,000, 6,000 products. So that's the sole user that I'll be using Data Feed Watch for. So is there? I don't need any, and so I don't need an omni-channel account. At the moment I just need Google Shopping and then probably Facebook product ads later. But what is the pricing for just that one user for the one feed?
Yeah. So basically, the pricing, our pricing depends on three different three main factors, and then there are some other factors as well. But let's say it depends on how many sources you would connect, how many products you have in a source, and then how many feeds you want to generate. So as you mentioned, you would have that
about
one
5,000,
source, I guess, right? And then you want one feed or maybe two feeds later on. But I think you would probably want to go for the merchant plan. If you have around 6,000 products, then I think the merchant plan would be the most beneficial one. It allows you to connect two shops, of course, but here on the shop plan you can connect one. But then the number of products, because you would have, let's say 6,000, then that would be 5 times. Because if you go over that amount, which is included in the plan, then every 1,000 extra products is $5 on top of the monthly fee, right? So in this case, if you had 5,000 more, then it's 5 times 5, so 25, right? So you're basically you have the same price for the merchant, but in the merchant plan you have more possibilities because you can use the analytics section as well, and you can connect the second source if you ever decide to to do that, let's say for another client or something, and then you can also generate more feeds, right? So if you ever decide to do this, then you have that space there. So if you would have a new client, let's say after some time maybe, and then you would put another shop in there, then you can also create sub accounts, right? So you can create a sub account for your customer to be able to log in and only, let's say, look at the feed, like give them permissions to only see their own shop, right? And then only let's say view or edit some channels. It's up to you.
Okay.
Right. So and as you can see, we have the free trial period, right? So you can test it for for 2 weeks for free. If you decide that that's not enough, then we can talk about extending the free trial a little bit to give you enough time to actually properly test it and make sure that it's the right tool for you. And we also have this onboarding call. So basically, the way it works is once you connect the first store, we advise to book an onboarding call, and then we would hop on call together again, and then go through creating your first feed, right? That would be based on the shop that you upload, right? So it would be on the data of your customer. We would tackle the challenges that come with that specific feed, right? And then if you would have specific ideas on what you want to do, let's say you want to combine or for the titles or something, then then we can do that together. If you would have any questions about how to set up certain rules, right? So this really comes in handy, I'd say.
Great. Well, I mean, yeah, that's all of it. Those pricings are obviously all completely reasonable. Okay, that's fantastic. I'll what I'll do is
Would